Inside the cramped, chilly hospital room, the soft beeping of machines was the only sound breaking the heavy silence. Kyle sat on the edge of his mother's bed, his small hands gripping hers tightly, trying to hold on to any bit of comfort he could find. His mother, Venus, lay motionless, unconscious since the accident that had changed their lives forever. The weight of helplessness pressed down on Kyle's young shoulders, tears silently streaming down his face as he whispered, "Mom, please wake up. I need you." His voice trembled with a mix of fear and hope, but no answer came. Only the steady rhythm of the machines and his mother's faint breathing. He wiped his tears quickly, telling himself not to cry. Yet the pain inside was too deep to hold back. Just then, a soft knock startled him. The door opened gently, and Mrs. Nora, the kind elderly landlady of the apartment they rented, stepped inside. Her eyes softened when she saw Kyle's tear-streaked face. "Kyle, sweetheart, have you eaten?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. Kyle shook his head. "Come with me, I'll get you some bread," she offered, but he shook his head again, refusing to leave. "I want to stay here. I don't want to be alone, and I can't leave Mom." Mrs. Nora sighed, understanding the boy's pain but worried about his well-being. "Kyle, what will you and your mom do? Has no one come to help?" she asked. Softly. The hospital bills were piling up and they hadn't paid their rent. Kyle's mind raced. He had to find a way. "Mrs. Nora, do you know where I can earn some money?" he asked with newfound determination. She frowned, worried. "You're too young, Kyle." "I can do it. For Mom," he said firmly, wiping away his tears. Mrs. Nora thought for a moment and then said, "There's a big music studio holding auditions for young singers. The prize money is good. Even if you don't win, you get something." Kyle's eyes lit up. Singing was the one thing that gave him hope. "Mom taught me to sing. She said I should learn from Zane Anderson, the best singer." Mrs. Nora smiled warmly. "Then it's worth a try." That night, Kyle whispered to his mother, still holding her hand, "Mom, I'm going to the music studio. I'll find a way to save you." The next morning, standing before the towering building of Harper Music Studios, Kyle felt small and out of place among the crowd of flashy kids, flashing cameras, and famous faces. But he swallowed his fear and walked inside, determined to try. When it was finally his turn, Kyle stepped into the audition room, where 3 judges sat, including Zane Anderson, a famous singer and music icon. Zane's eyes locked onto Kyle's form, something stirring deep inside him. The boy's voice, pure and clear, filled the room as Kyle sang the song only Venus had ever sung, a song that carried memories and secrets. The judges sat stunned, and Zane's heart raced as the realization hit him. This wasn't just any kid, this was his son, but Kyle had no idea. He was just a boy trying to save his mother, unaware that the man watching him with awe was the father he never knew. The room buzzed with emotion, the beginning of a story filled with hope, pain, and the chance for a family to be whole again. The applause was thunderous as Kyle finished his song, but his eyes searched nervously for any sign of approval from the judges. The room was quiet for a moment before Zane Anderson finally spoke, his voice calm but filled with an unspoken weight. "You have an incredible voice, son." The words struck Kyle like a lightning bolt. He didn't know what to think, but a flicker of hope sparked inside him. Yet Zane's gaze was conflicted. He had just recognized the song, a song only Venus had ever sung to him. How was it possible that this boy knew it so well? The other judges exchanged impressed glances, praising Kyle's talent, but Zane remained silent, wrestling with a flood of emotions. As Kyle left the stage, he felt the eyes of other contestants watching him, not all with kindness. Whispers followed him through the halls, and the warmth of the studio seemed to chill. It wasn't long before 3 older boys approached him, their smirks hiding a sharp edge. "Hey, new kid," one sneered. "Heard you're getting special treatment." Kyle shook his head, confused and hurt. "What are you talking about?" "You got a bodyguard. The judge himself recommended you." "Must be nice to have a famous dad backing you," another jeered. Kyle's fists clenched. "I don't even know who my dad is," he replied quietly but firmly. The boys laughed cruelly. "Looks like the poor kid doesn't belong here. Maybe he should go back where he came from." Kyle stood his ground. "Being poor doesn't mean I don't belong anywhere. At least I'm here fighting for my mom." Before the bullying could escalate, a strong voice cut through the tension. "What's going on here?" Zane Anderson stepped forward, his presence commanding silence. He looked at the boys with cold eyes. "Bullying is not allowed in this competition. If you have a problem, speak up like adults, or don't speak at all." The boys mumbled apologies and quickly backed away. Turning to Kyle, Zane offered a small, encouraging smile. "You belong here because of your talent and hard work. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." Kyle nodded, surprised by the kindness and protection from the judge he had never met before. Despite the bullying, a fragile bond was forming between them, one that neither fully understood yet, but would change their lives forever. Days passed, and the buzz around Kyle's audition quickly turned into a mix of admiration and jealousy within the studio. The other kids whispered behind his back, some trying to undermine his confidence, while others secretly admired his raw talent. Kyle threw himself into rehearsals, pouring every ounce of energy into perfecting his songs. But beneath his determination was a storm of doubt and loneliness. He often found himself alone in the quiet corners of the studio, missing his mother's comforting presence and wondering if his father, the mysterious judge who protected him, would ever truly accept him. One afternoon, as Kyle sat practicing softly, the same 3 older boys approached again, their faces harder than before. "Hey, new kid," the tallest sneered. "We've heard enough about your special treatment. What's the deal? You got a bodyguard now? Is that why you're still here?" Kyle's heart pounded, but he held his ground. "No one is giving me special treatment. I'm here because I earned it." The boys laughed cruelly. "Earned it? With your old clothes and worn shoes? You don't belong in this world." Before Kyle could respond, a firm voice echoed through the hallway. "That's enough." Zane Anderson appeared, his expression fierce and protective. "You forget. The rules. No bullying. This contest is about talent, not where you come from or what you wear. If you have a problem, take it up with me." The boys muttered apologies, casting resentful glances before backing off. Zane turned to Kyle, his voice softening. "Don't let them get to you. Your voice is what matters. I believe in you." Kyle looked up, feeling a mixture of gratitude and confusion. Was this man really on his side? Yet, deep down, Kyle sensed the walls around Zane's heart were fragile, hiding pain and regret. That night, alone in his small apartment, Kyle stared at the photo of his mother taped to the wall. "I wish you could see me now, Mom," he whispered, tears streaming down his cheeks. "I'm trying so hard. I won't give up." Unbeknownst to Kyle, miles away in his office, Zane sat staring at the same photo, not of his mother, but of a woman named Venus. His mind raced with memories and what-ifs. How had fate brought this boy into his life? Was this truly the son he never knew he had? The music studio was no longer just a place of work for Zane. It had become a battleground of emotions, secrets, and a chance for redemption. As Kyle prepared for the semifinals, the weight of expectations and the hope for a miracle rested heavily on his young shoulders. The path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. This was more than a competition. It was a chance to rewrite their story. The morning of the semifinals arrived with a mix of excitement and tension hanging thick in the air. Kyle woke, early, his heart pounding as he clutched the small necklace his mother had given him. a simple pendant that held all his hopes and fears. He knew this wasn't just another performance. It was a chance to bring his mother one step closer to healing, to show the world the strength born from their struggle. At the studio, the atmosphere buzzed with nervous energy. Contestants rehearsed, coaches gave last-minute advice, and cameras swirled around like a storm. Kyle tried to focus, but the whispers and side glances from other kids reminded him that not everyone wanted him to succeed. As he waited backstage, the three older boys from before appeared again, their expressions dark and threatening. "Ready to mess up, kid?" one sneered. Kyle swallowed hard, steadying himself. "I'm ready." Just then, Zane stepped beside him, his presence a shield against the cold stares and harsh words. "Ignore them," Zane said quietly, placing a reassuring hand on Kyle's shoulder. "Remember why you're here." The words settled something deep inside Kyle. When his name was called, he stepped onto the stage, the bright lights momentarily blinding. The microphone felt heavy in his small hands, but as the first notes left his lips, the room fell silent, captivated by the purity and emotion in his voice. He sang the song his mother had once sung to him, the same song that had connected him to Zane in ways words couldn't explain. Judges, audience, even the rival contestants watched, spellbound. Behind the scenes, Zane's heart pounded as he listened, tears threatening to spill. This boy, his son, was pouring his soul out in a song that told their story, a story of love, loss, and hope. As the last note faded, the applause erupted, louder and more heartfelt than ever. Kyle's eyes scanned the room, finally resting on Zane, who gave him a proud, tender smile. But the victory was bittersweet. Later, in the quiet of the dressing room, Kyle struggled with the jealousy and resentment he'd faced. Zane sat beside him, breaking the silence. "Kyle, there will always be people who don't understand your story or your worth. But you have something they don't, a heart that won't give up. That's your true power." Kyle nodded, a tear slipping down his cheek. "I just want Mom to get better. I want us to be a family." Zane looked away, his jaw tightening. "So do I, son. So do I." That night, as Kyle lay in bed, the weight of the day and his father's words settled in his heart. The journey ahead was long, filled with challenges and hope, but for the first time, he felt he wasn't alone. Somewhere, beyond the studio walls and hospital corridors, a family was quietly beginning to heal. The days following Kyle's semi-final performance were a whirlwind of emotions, media attention, and growing tensions. The video of his audition had gone viral overnight, sparking waves of support and curiosity. Fans marveled at the raw talent and heartbreaking story of the poor boy singing to save his mother, but whispers spread too. Questions about his background, his sudden appearance, and the judge who seemed to have a personal connection. Behind the scenes, Kyle's life was far from the spotlight's warmth. The hospital bills for Venus's treatment were mounting, and every day Kyle sat by her bedside, whispering prayers for her recovery. Zane, too, found himself pulled deeper into Kyle's world, the fragile balance between being a mentor, a judge, and something far more complicated. One afternoon, Zane invited Kyle to his office at the studio, a spacious room lined with gold records, awards, and photographs. It was the first time Kyle stepped into the world his father had built, and he couldn't help but feel overwhelmed and small amidst the grandeur. "This is where I work," Zane said, watching Kyle's wide eyes. "You've got the talent to be here, not just as a contestant, but as a part of this world." Kyle nodded shyly, but couldn't shake the knot of doubt in his stomach. "Do you think Mom will get better?" he asked quietly. Zane's gaze softened, but the pain was clear in his eyes. "I'm doing everything I can. We'll fight this together." Over the next few weeks, Kyle's relationship with Zane grew in complexity. Zane began secretly helping with medical bills and arranging for the best care possible, but he kept his emotions guarded, still wrestling with the guilt of the years lost. Kyle, unaware of the full truth, slowly warmed to the man who was more than a judge, but not yet a father in his eyes. Meanwhile, the bullying from other contestants escalated. A group of kids whispered behind Kyle's back, questioning his sudden rise and accusing him of favoritism. Kyle tried to ignore them, but the isolation was painful. One evening, after a particularly harsh confrontation, Kyle broke down in tears backstage. Zane found him there, trembling and overwhelmed. Without hesitation, Zane wrapped his arms around Kyle, offering comfort and protection. "You're not alone anymore," he whispered. "We'll face this together." The bond between them deepened, but the real test was yet to come. Just as Kyle was preparing for the finals, news arrived that Venus's condition had taken a turn for the worse. The hospital called, urging immediate treatment that required more funds than they had. Kyle's world seemed to crumble, the weight of his mother's life pressing down on him harder than ever. Desperate, Kyle confided in Zane, his voice breaking as he explained the urgency. Without hesitation, Zane stepped forward, vowing to do whatever it took. "Your mom's fight is my fight now," he said firmly. The final weeks were a race against time, balancing rehearsals, hospital visits, and the storm of emotions that came with the fragile hope of recovery. When the day of the final performance arrived, Kyle stood on the grand stage once more, not just singing for a prize, but for his family's future. His voice, filled with pain and hope, carried across the auditorium, touching every heart. Behind the scenes, Zane and Venus, now awake and recovering, held hands, their silent support a beacon of strength. The story of a poor boy's love, courage, and an unexpected father's redemption reached beyond the music, touching lives, mending hearts, and proving that sometimes the greatest victories come from the deepest struggles. The final notes of Kyle's performance lingered in the air as the auditorium erupted into thunderous applause. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he realized that this moment was more than just a competition. It was a symbol of hope, a lifeline for his mother, and a bridge to a family he never thought he'd have. Backstage, the cameras captured a tender moment as Zane wrapped his arms around Kyle, whispering words of pride and encouragement. The media frenzy exploded overnight. News outlets, social media, and fans everywhere shared Kyle's story. The poor boy with a golden voice, singing not for fame, but to save his mother. Interviews flooded in, sponsors offered support, and offers for professional training poured in. Yet amidst the excitement, the family's journey was just beginning. Venus, now awake and slowly recovering in the hospital, smiled softly when she heard Kyle sing on television. The fragile thread that had held them together was growing stronger with each passing day. At home, the atmosphere was filled with cautious joy. Zane and Venus sat close, sharing quiet moments of reconciliation and planning for the future. Kyle, once shy and uncertain, began to shine with newfound confidence, fueled by love and the promise of a better tomorrow. But shadows from the past still lingered. Venus's estranged parents, who had once rejected her, suddenly appeared, seeking forgiveness and a place in their daughter's life. The tension was palpable. Venus struggled between her pain and the desire for family healing, while Zane stood firmly by her side, protecting their new life together. As Kyle prepared for his next big opportunity, a national singing competition that could launch his career, Zane proposed to Venus in a heartfelt moment that brought tears and laughter. Their engagement symbolized not just a union of two lovers, but the rebuilding of a broken family. The day of the wedding was filled with warmth and celebration. Friends, studio staff, and fans gathered to witness the joining of hearts that had weathered storms and emerged stronger. Kyle walked proudly beside his parents, the boy who had once felt so alone, now embraced by love and belonging. In the months that followed, the family moved into a beautiful home overlooking the city. a place where laughter replaced tears and hope blossomed anew. Venus's health improved steadily, and Kyle balanced school, singing, and family life with growing grace. One quiet morning, as sunlight streamed through the windows, Venus revealed to Zane that she was pregnant with twins, a joyous surprise that filled their hearts with dreams of the future. Yet even in happiness, Zane's protective nature surfaced. He became fiercely attentive, sometimes to Venus's amusement, as they prepared for the arrival of their new little miracles. Through every challenge and triumph, the family's bond deepened, rooted in forgiveness, love, and the unbreakable promise to face life's hurdles together. The story of Kyle, Venus, and Zane became more than a tale of talent and struggle. It was a testament to resilience, redemption, and the power of second chances. Their journey touched the hearts of many, inspiring countless others to believe that no matter how far you drift apart, true family will always find its way back home. The months that followed the wedding were filled with a new rhythm, one of family dinners, laughter echoing through their dream home, and quiet moments of reflection. Kyle thrived under the loving eyes of his parents, his voice growing stronger and more confident with every practice. The music studio buzzed with activity, but for Zane, nothing compared to the joy of watching his son blossom. Yet, beneath the happiness, challenges lingered. Venus's estranged parents, though now part of their lives, carried wounds from the past that were slow to heal. Their presence was a delicate balance between forgiveness and caution. One afternoon, as Zane worked on a new song, Venus sat beside him, cradling her growing belly. "Do you think Kyle will be ready for what's coming?" she asked softly. Zane looked up, his eyes filled with determination. "He's stronger than anyone I know, but we'll be here, every step of the way." The anticipation of the twins' arrival brought both excitement and anxiety. Zane became fiercely protective, often hovering in the kitchen or pacing the hallways whenever Venus felt discomfort. Kyle watched with amusement, calling him the best protective dad ever. The day labor began was chaotic yet filled with hope. Zane's nerves were visible as he rushed Venus to the hospital, fumbling with the hospital bag and muttering reassurances to himself more than to her. In the delivery room, the world seemed to hold its breath. After hours of pain and tears, two tiny cries filled the air, a baby girl and a baby boy, perfect and fragile. Holding them for the first time, Zane's heart swelled with love and gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered to Venus, tears streaming down his face. "You gave me everything." Life settled into a new normal with the twins. The house now, alive with the sounds of little feet and joyful chaos. Kyle embraced his role as the proud big brother, teaching songs to his siblings and sharing stories of the journey that brought them together. But the past wasn't entirely behind them. Old wounds surfaced when a jealous rival from the music industry tried to undermine Kyle's rising career, spreading rumors and stirring doubt. The family faced these challenges united, their bond unshaken. Through every trial and triumph, Zane, Venus, and Kyle learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about love, sacrifice, and standing together no matter what. Their story, once one of pain and separation, had transformed into a beacon of hope and resilience, a reminder that even the deepest scars can heal when hearts are open to forgiveness and love. The music studio buzzed with excitement as Kyle prepared for his first national television performance. It was a dream come true, but also a moment heavy with pressure. The boy who had once sat quietly beside his mother's hospital bed was now about to stand on a stage that millions would watch. As he dressed in his smart suit, Zane and Venus watched with a mix of pride and nerves. Kyle's small hands trembled slightly as he clutched the microphone backstage, the bright lights and roaring crowd almost overwhelming. But when he stepped onto the stage, a calm washed over him. He sang from his heart, the song of his family's struggle, love, and hope. The audience was captivated, their cheers filling the arena as Kyle's voice soared. Backstage, Zane's eyes glistened with tears. This was the moment he'd dreamed of for his son, the moment that made all the pain and sacrifice worthwhile. After the performance, interviews flooded in. Kyle spoke softly but confidently about his mother's fight, his own journey, and the unexpected bond with his father. The story touched millions, inspiring countless messages of support and encouragement. Yet, amidst the success, the family faced new challenges. Venus's health still required care, and the demands of Kyle's burgeoning career strained their time together. One evening, as the family sat down for dinner, Venus gently reminded Zane, "We need to make time for us, to remember why we're here." Zane nodded, realizing that while the world watched Kyle, their true strength lay in the quiet moments at home. The unexpected visit of Venus's parents stirred old emotions. Their sincere apologies opened the door for healing, but trust had to be rebuilt slowly. Kyle, ever the peacemaker, embraced his grandparents warmly, hopeful for a future where all wounds could mend. As the seasons changed, the family grew stronger. Kyle continued to sing, his voice maturing alongside his confidence. Zane worked tirelessly, balancing fame and fatherhood, while Venus found peace in their growing family. Together, they faced the music industry's challenges, the pressures of public life, and the everyday struggles of love and forgiveness. Their journey was far from over, but one thing was certain: their bond was unbreakable. In the end, Kyle's song was more than a performance. It was a testament to a family's resilience, a father's redemption, and a mother's unwavering love. It was a story that would inspire for generations to come. The anticipation in the air was electric as Kyle prepared for his biggest performance. Yet, the national finale. The stakes were higher than ever, not just for the prize money or fame, but for the future of his family. Every note he sang carried the weight of his mother's fragile health, his father's hopes, and his own dreams. Backstage, Zane paced nervously. The years of regret and longing etched deeply into his face. He glanced toward Venus, who sat quietly, her hands resting gently on her belly as the twins grew stronger with each passing day. The family had come so far, but the road ahead was still filled with uncertainty. Kyle's name was called, and the auditorium fell silent. The bright stage lights illuminated the boy who once sat alone beside a hospital bed, now standing tall before thousands. As he began to sing, his voice, clear, powerful, and full of emotion, captivated everyone. Each word told a story of struggle, sacrifice, and unwavering love. The audience was spellbound, many wiping away tears as Kyle's song echoed through their hearts. Behind the scenes, Zane's eyes shimmered with tears of pride and pain. This was his son, his flesh and blood, carrying the legacy of a family torn apart and now finding its way back together. Venus watched, her heart swelling with hope and gratitude. The moment felt sacred, a turning point, not just in a competition, but in their lives. After the final note, the crowd erupted into a standing ovation. Kyle's smile was radiant but humble as he looked toward his parents. Zane stepped forward, embracing his son tightly, whispering, "You did it, son. You made us proud." The judges nodded in awe, praising Kyle's talent and the heart behind his performance. But amid the celebration, the challenges resurfaced. The music industry's spotlight brought offers and attention, but also scrutiny and pressure. Kyle struggled to balance school, rehearsals, and the weight of newfound fame. Venus and Zane navigated the complexities of parenthood with twins and healing wounds from their past. One evening, as the family sat together, Venus shared her fears about the future. "I want Kyle to have a normal childhood," she whispered, "but this world is harsh." Zane held her hand, his voice steady. "We'll protect him. Together, we can face anything." Their unity was tested again when a jealous rival tried to sabotage Kyle's career, spreading rumors and creating obstacles. But the family stood strong, their bond unbreakable. Kyle confronted the challenges with courage, his voice a beacon of resilience and hope. As the story unfolded, the media and fans rallied behind them, inspired by their journey from hardship to triumph. The tale of a poor boy singing to save his mother, reunited with the father he never knew, touched hearts worldwide. In a quiet moment as the twins slept peacefully, Zane, Venus, and Kyle sat together, reflecting on how far they'd come. Their story was one of love, forgiveness, and second chances, a reminder that no matter the odds, family and hope could conquer all. The journey wasn't over, but the future gleamed brightly with promise. Together, they faced the world, ready to write new chapters filled with music, laughter, and unwavering love. The quiet moments after the whirlwind of the national finale were bittersweet for Kyle and his family. The applause had faded, but the echoes of that night still resonated in their hearts. Kyle found himself thrust into the spotlight, his life forever changed. Offers from talent agencies, invitations to perform, and endless interviews filled his days. Yet beneath the surface, he longed for something more. Normalcy, the simple joys of childhood, and most of all, his mother's full recovery. Venus's health remained fragile. Though she was out of the hospital, the long road of rehabilitation and care stretched ahead. Zane devoted himself to being the pillar of strength for both Venus and Kyle, balancing the pressures of his music career and newfound fatherhood. Nights were often filled with whispered worries and unspoken fears, but also with moments of laughter and hope as the family adjusted to their new life. One afternoon, as Kyle practiced in the studio, his voice growing stronger and more confident, a shadow crossed his path. A jealous rival, threatened by Kyle's rising fame, began spreading rumors to tarnish his reputation. Whispers of nepotism, of Kyle's privileged rise because of Zane's influence, began circulating among fans and the media. The accusations stung deeply, cutting through the hard-won progress Kyle and his family had made. Zane confronted the situation head-on, refusing to let the lies take root. At a press conference, he stood firmly by his son, speaking with passion and conviction. Kyle's talent is real. His journey is his own, born of struggle and sacrifice. No one can take that away from him. The public's response was mixed. Some defended the boy, inspired by his story, while others remained skeptical, caught in the whirlwind of gossip. Meanwhile, Venus worked tirelessly to rebuild their home into a sanctuary, a place where love and music could flourish. The twins, now a few months old, filled their days with joyful chaos and endless energy. Kyle took on the role of big brother with pride, teaching them lullabies and sharing stories of their extraordinary journey. Through it all, the family leaned on each other. Late nights were spent in quiet conversations, sharing hopes and fears. Zane and Venus rekindled their love with a depth born from hardship, their bond strengthened by the trials they had overcome. Kyle, growing into a young man, learned to navigate the complexities of fame and family, finding strength in the love that surrounded him. Their story became a beacon of hope, a testament to resilience and the power of forgiveness. It was shared across social media, inspiring countless others to believe in second chances and the unbreakable ties of family. As Kyle's voice soared, on stages big and small, it carried with it the story of a poor boy who sang to save his mother, and in doing so, found a family he never thought he'd have. In the quiet moments, as the sun set over their home, the family sat together, united and strong. They knew the road ahead would have challenges, but they faced it with open hearts and unwavering hope. Their journey was far from over, but one thing was certain: together they could overcome anything. The years that followed were a delicate dance of growth, healing, and new beginnings. Kyle blossomed into a confident young man, his voice maturing with every passing day. He was no longer just the poor boy from a heartbreaking story. He had become an inspiration, a symbol of hope and perseverance. His performances captivated audiences nationwide, but what made him truly special was the story behind his song, a story of love, sacrifice, and family reunited against all odds. At home, the atmosphere was filled with warmth and laughter. The twins had grown into lively toddlers, filling the house with their infectious energy. Venus, now stronger and healthier, embraced motherhood with grace, while Zayn balanced his music career and family life with renewed purpose. Their love, once tested by separation and pain, had deepened into an unbreakable bond. But life was not without its challenges. The music industry's harsh spotlight sometimes cast shadows over their happiness. Jealous rivals and critics tested their resolve, and the pressure of fame weighed heavily on Kyle. Yet, through every trial, the family stood united. Zayn became not just a father, but a mentor and protector, guiding Kyle with wisdom born of experience. Venus, a pillar of strength and compassion, reminded them all of the importance of humility and heart. One evening, as the family gathered, around the dinner table, Kyle shared news of an opportunity to record his first full album. Excitement buzzed in the air, but so did nerves. "This is a big step," Kyle admitted, his eyes shining with determination. Zayn smiled, placing a reassuring hand on his son's shoulder. "You're ready. We'll be with you every step of the way." The recording sessions were intense but rewarding. Kyle poured his soul into every track, drawing from the depths of his experiences, the pain of loss, the strength of love, and the joy of reunion. Each song told a chapter of their journey, resonating deeply with listeners. As the album release approached, anticipation built, and the family prepared for a new chapter in their lives. On the day of the album launch, the studio was packed with friends, fans, and supporters. The atmosphere was electric, a celebration of not just music, but the power of resilience and family. Kyle took the stage, his voice soaring, his heart full. The crowd erupted in applause, moved by the young man who had overcome so much to share, his gift with the world. After the event, Zayn and Venus exchanged proud glances, knowing that their family's story had touched countless lives. They had come so far, from hospital rooms and whispered prayers to stages and bright lights. Their journey was a testament to the power of love, forgiveness, and the unbreakable bonds that hold us together. As they stood together, watching Kyle embrace his dreams, they knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it as one. Their story was far from over, but their hearts were full, and their love unwavering. In the end, it was not just a story of a poor boy who sang to save his mother. It was the story of a family who found each other again, and in doing so found hope, healing, and a new beginning. The day had finally come, the last chapter in their long, emotional journey together. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the city as Kyle, Zayn, and Venus prepared for a special family celebration. Not just a party, but a symbol of how far they had come. Their home was filled with laughter, music, and the joyful chaos of the twins playing in the background. The past years of struggle, pain, and separation seemed like a distant memory as they stood united, stronger than ever. Kyle looked around at the faces of those who had supported him, the friends from the music studio, their closest family members, and fans who had followed his story from the beginning. He felt a surge of gratitude and pride, knowing that every tear and every hardship had led to this moment. Standing beside his parents, he realized that the love that had held them together was the true melody of his life. As the evening unfolded, Zayn took Venus's hand and led her to the center of the room. With a tender smile, he spoke of forgiveness, hope, and the power of family. He thanked everyone for their unwavering support and promised that their story was just beginning. Then, in front of their loved ones, he and Venus renewed their vows, a heartfelt promise to cherish, protect, and love each other and their children through every challenge life might bring. Kyle stepped forward next, his voice steady but full of emotion. He sang the song that had brought them all together, the song of love, loss, and reunion. The room was silent, everyone captivated by the young man who had turned pain into art and hardship into hope. When the last note faded, the applause was thunderous, echoing the journey of a family reunited and a future full of promise. Later, as the night settled and the stars shone bright, the family sat together on their porch, wrapped in a blanket of peace. They talked quietly about dreams, fears, and the endless possibilities ahead. Zane looked at Kyle and Venus, his heart full. "No matter what comes next, we face it together," he said softly. "This is just the beginning." The story of Kyle, Venus, and Zane had traveled far, beyond the stages and screens, into the hearts of all who heard it. It was a tale of resilience, redemption, and the unbreakable bond of family. Through every twist and turn, they had discovered that no matter how lost you feel, love can find you and bring you home. And with that, their new chapter began, full of hope, music, and the promise of forever. The final chapter of Kyle, Venus, and Zane's journey was unlike any before, an unfolding tapestry of emotions, healing, and new beginnings. The house, once filled with silence and uncertainty, now rang with laughter, music, and the promise of tomorrow. Yet beneath the warmth, the scars of the past lingered, reminding them of the long road traveled. One quiet morning, as the soft golden light spilled through the curtains, Venus sat by the window, cradling her belly swollen with the twins growing inside her. Kyle entered quietly, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Mom, I'm going to sing for the twins," he said softly. "I want them to know our story before they even open their eyes." Venus smiled through her tears, her heart full. "They already know, Kyle. They can feel it." Meanwhile, Zane stood in his music studio, gazing at the photo of Venus and Kyle taped beside his microphone. His fingers trembled as memories flooded in. The lost years, the pain of separation, the unexpected reunion. He realized that the song he had once sung for Venus was no longer just a memory. It had become a living legacy carried by his son. But healing was never linear. One afternoon, Venus received a call from her estranged parents, whose sudden reappearance stirred both hope and old wounds. They spoke with remorse, begging for forgiveness and a chance to be part of their daughter's new life. Venus wrestled with the flood of emotions, the fear of being hurt again, the desire for family, and the need to protect her children. Zane stood by her side, his voice steady and reassuring. "Whatever you decide, I'm with you." Together, they invited her parents to visit, setting boundaries and opening a cautious door to reconciliation. The reunion was emotional, tears, apologies, and tentative smiles. But it marked a step toward mending broken bonds. As the twins' birth approached, excitement mixed with anxiety. Zane's protective nature blossomed fully, hovering constantly, ensuring Venus's comfort and safety. Kyle embraced his role as a big brother, talking to his siblings and promising to be their guardian and friend. The day the twins arrived was nothing short of miraculous. In the sterile hospital room, filled with the scent of new life and hope, two tiny cries echoed, a baby girl and a baby boy, perfect in their innocence. Zane and Venus held them close, tears of joy and relief streaming down their faces. Kyle, overwhelmed, whispered promises of love and protection, his heart swelling with pride. Life settled into a new rhythm, the chaos of newborns, the quiet, strength of healing hearts, and the unspoken understanding that family was now their greatest triumph. Kyle's career flourished, but he never lost sight of what mattered most. Every song he sang carried the voices of those who had stood by him, the mother who taught him love, the father who found redemption, and the family they rebuilt together. Yet, challenges surfaced. Jealous rivals and critics tried to dim Kyle's light, casting shadows with rumors and doubts. But with Zane's mentorship and Venus's unwavering support, Kyle faced every storm with courage. Their story became a beacon, inspiring others to believe in second chances and the power of love. One evening, under a sky bursting with stars, the family gathered on their porch, wrapped in blankets and warmth. They spoke quietly of dreams yet to come, fears left behind, and the endless journey ahead. Zane looked at his wife and sons, his voice filled with gratitude. No matter what happens, we face it together. We are family. In that moment, the world outside faded. Their past pain, their struggles, their victories, all intertwined to create a new beginning. The music of their lives played on, a song of hope, forgiveness, and unbreakable bonds. And so, the story of Kyle, Venus, and Zane ended not with a final note, but with a promise that love, no matter how broken or distant, can find its way home, forever. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey. The story of a poor boy's voice that not only saved his mother, but also reunited a family torn apart by time and hardship. Kyle's courage, Venus's strength, and Zane's redemption remind us all that no matter how dark life may seem, love and hope can light the way back home. If this story touched your heart, please share it with your friends and family, because everyone deserves to hear a tale of resilience and second chances. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. What moved you most about their journey? And if you want more stories filled with emotion, drama, and hope, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Remember, every voice matters, and every story has the power to inspire. Until next time, keep believing, keep loving, and keep dreaming. Thank you, and God bless.